Happy Australia Day, you wonderful people of Surat. Whilst I admit that I am disappointed Lydia and I cannot be with you in person today, I know you will understand and concur that under the circumstances it was really the only prudent action to take to do this as a virtual meeting. My hope is that today we can still establish a connection despite these challenges and that you can admit me to your midst, if only for, regrettably, a brief period. We've always treasured the warmth, the openness and the genuine hospitality that we have received from each community with whom we've had the honour of sharing Australia Day over the past 7 years. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Queensland Premier's Department and the Maranoa District Council for the opportunity to be with you today. Queensland's Australia Day ambassadors travel the breadth and width of this wonderful state to share the day with various rural and remote communities. Partly this is to provide communities with support, but also to contribute to a collective sense of pride and satisfaction in our achievements past and present, and hopefully to enable a collective sense of pride into the future. A clear and accurate understanding of where we have been and where we are heading contributes very much to our sense of identity both as individuals and on a national level. Australia Day, above all, is one which celebrates inclusiveness, the coming together of peoples from various lands and cultures, a day of healing and of coming to terms with past and present practices. This land is the ancestral country of the Mandindangi people. I take this opportunity to honour their elders past and present and well into the future, and to celebrate the efforts of the Surat Aboriginal Corporation to regain and maintain the cultural values and dignities of their people. I quote, "Their objective is to embrace opportunities to develop positive, sustainable and cultural outcomes for current and future generations," quote, end quote. No matter whether we are First Nations people or descended from convicts, city folk or farmers, professionals, tradesmen or labourers, mothers working within or and without the home, we are all Australians. In these challenging times, it is vital that we use our common sense to ward off the populist peddlers of misinformation, fake news and conspiracy theories. Even as I speak today, tragically, there are people whose life journey is ending prematurely due to ill-founded choices regarding the decision of whether or not to be immunised against COVID. We Aussies are justifiably proud of our being able to punch well above our weight in world affairs. Our hard-won reputation relies on our self-respect and our respect for each other, regardless of race, colour or creed. Today we celebrate our cosmopolitan society. We celebrate our First Nations people and we welcome the enrichment of our people by new settlers. We honour and salute our heroes, not just our sporting heroes in January, but our frontline health workers, our farmers and graziers battling against the ravages of climate change, our teachers, our police and our rural firefighters, the members of the SES and members of our armed forces serving overseas, projecting and protecting our values and way of life. They all command our respect and utmost gratitude. I belong to the Ipswich City Rotary Club, which over the past 3 years has contributed over $100,000 towards drought relief in Western Queensland. We are part of a multi-club initiative with this objective in mind. We've also been sending substantial funds to assist those in southern states as they dealt with the ravages of the presence and aftermath of bushfires in New South Wales and Victoria in 2020-21. We Service Club members are doers who get out to actively make a difference, not relying on others to do the work. Rest assured that whenever and wherever adversity strikes, we all pitch in and together we will prevail against the odds. Today, time does not allow me to share my life journey in any detail. Suffice it to say that I have always been actively involved in my two main communities, professional and general. It is my way of doing what I can to repay the great unspoken honour of being entrusted by parents and loved ones to look after the sick and disabled children. I've always found it particularly satisfying to work as a volunteer in the general community, as a board member of the Mogulman Crosby Lions Club for over 25 years, and for the past 4 years as a board member of the Rotary Club of Ipswich City. Indeed, many of my happiest moments have been when working with like-minded people, doing voluntary working bees, whether fundraising or in kind, such as lawn mowing, painting and simple renovations for the elderly and incapacitated. These days, happiness can be so elusive. Nobody, of course, can expect to be happy all the time, but there is no doubt that I've enjoyed many of my most happy moments whilst volunteering. Service clubs are currently struggling to maintain memberships as people become more self and home-centric, materialistic and polarised, as exemplified by current movements embracing identity politics. In doing so, we risk becoming disengaged from our communities, so that true happiness can seem to be increasingly a forlorn hope for so many. My parting thought with you today is to reflect about how each of you can make a difference in your community by looking after your neighbour, and in doing so bask in the happiness of being part of that community. Before closing, I must mention that my greatest achievement and fortune has been in finding Lydia, my soulmate, when I was in final year of medicine, and she in her final year of nursing, both of us at the Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Sydney. She has been my most loyal supporter, though also my most honest critic over the past 57 years we've been able to share. I've benefited in so many ways from her ever-wise counsel. Without doubt, she's been the linchpin of any success I have achieved. So finally, I entreat you to continue enjoying our National Day, maintaining our traditions of tolerance for others, looking after our fellow man, particularly the little fellow, not taking ourselves too seriously, and being able to take a laugh on ourselves. I entreat you to avoid making hasty judgments about the character of your fellow man, as, on honest reflection, I'm sure that you'll realise that more often than not, we are forced to admit that there, but for good fortune and perhaps the grace of God, go I. We are truly fortunate to share a very lucky country, but please never ever take this for granted. And lastly, please, if you're not yet immunised, trust me, there's no time like the present. It may well be the most single important step you'll take this year. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.